All right, top of the morning to you. Welcome to our green room. Well, this is actually where we do all our brainstorming in our podcast studio. So the studio and the control room's next door here, and there's a bunch of offices up the hall. This is where I come to work every day. And right now we're working on the 2019 podcast curriculum and the whole year, laying it all out. And we want to get you guys involved so that you have a chance to maybe have some say-so on what you'd like to see us cover on the podcast. So I want to introduce you to the team. This is my executive assistant, Jeanette Perez.
Hi, everybody.
This is David Lally, who's a legend in the database. He's involved in all things curriculum when it comes to me. This is Danny Iverson. People who've been to the events have heard me talk about Danny over the years. Danny's he's our engineer, and he's the guy that runs all equipment in there. Joan and I have been together for, well, 30 some years. And so Joan knows every piece of content that I've ever thought of and knows where all the bodies are buried. This is Julie. Julie's our podcast manager, and she helps run the whole show and keep it connected to Buffini Company. This is Murph. Now Murph's our intern, who's now a full-time employee, and he's doing his thing. On Skype here, you'll see Joe Nego. Say hi, Joe.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, and on the right, we did have Niamh Green, our writer, and she's in Ireland. So we have Ireland and Chicago on the Skype, Murph the intern, and then the team that puts it all together. Okay? And so this is where we do it. And so a couple of things I want to reach out to you guys for is next year's content. And so it falls into a few categories. You can see we're all about flip charts. We rip them off the wall, stick them on here. We started with all these ideas, okay? And this whole board was filled up. We've torn them down and decided what we're using here and there. And so got it down into a list. So we have 25 interviews lined up for next year. And we have a bunch of guest speakers at our Success Tour events and Mastermind at Peak. We have our faculty of Joe Nego, Kevin Buffini, Dave McGee, our head coach, Jamie Nowak. We're going to do some podcasts with them. Here's some of the characters we're going to do some interviews with. Niamh Green, who will help me write The Immigrant Edge, best-selling author in Ireland. She's going to help us how to write well. Things like that. Lou Holtz has been waiting to do a podcast with me for a while. Daniel Amen is going to talk about the brain. He's the #1 show on PBS. And so he's going to help us with a program called Mind Your Business, how to work on the brain, the largest muscle in the body that we don't work on. And then, so I have people here to start the year off. Michael Stromness, my personal trainer, things like that. We're looking at doing some, we developed what's called an Insiders Club. So we have an Insiders Club on our podcast that we do special content for. And we're laying out really cool stuff this year for our insiders to do Q&A that's only available to them, a chance for you guys to ask me questions and interact with you. So that should be kind of a fun deal. Then we get into, we have some live events where some of the content we do at these live events are very helpful. We've done live events in the past. So for example, here's Mastermind 2011. This was one of the most popular content pieces I ever did. 7 years, no one's ever heard that content. So we're going to take it off the shelf, bring it to life, make it happen. So some of my favorite stories that people love and all the greatest hits, if you will, of all the favorite stories I've ever told, no one's ever heard them unless you go to an event or if I've stopped telling at an event. So we're going to find a way to put some of these in what we call Laugh and Learn series. And then there's Brian's bookshelf, where I'm going to give insight on things like As a Man Thinketh, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, and The Millionaire Next Door. Perhaps a replay of an audio program I listen to every time I speak is Og Mandino's Secrets of Success. Then we get into original content. So how to be mentally tough, how to slow down so you can go fast, how to build confidence. So you messed up, how to move forward. 3 things I tell my younger self. Embrace your guilty pleasures. Manners maketh money. How about that one? Rekindle your enthusiasm. What we can learn from young people. Okay? How to find your tribe. How to live a counterculture lifestyle. Sales, a noble profession. I think it is. We need to talk about that. And then things like what unifies us. How to be a winner. How to get rid of bad habits. Mentorship. Making your money grow. And then we're going to do some Q&A sessions called You Takeover Tuesday. So what we're going to do over the next few weeks is we're going to give you, okay, here's a list of maybe our top 10 favorite interviews we're going to do next year. We want you to vote on who you want to see, and if you have a suggestion of someone we're not interviewing that you'd like to hear from. We're going to give you, hey, here's our top 10 original content pieces, maybe a few days later. We want you to vote and tell us what your favorites are. And if there's something we're not covering, say, hey, I'd really like to know more about that. So it's August. We're working on 2019 and getting the podcast laid out for the year. We love to hear from you. We want you to participate in the process. You can have a say-so in what I speak on next year so that you can hear the podcast that you enjoy listening to and the podcast you refer to your friends. So appreciate your input. Appreciate all of you who've referred the podcast. 180,000 people download the podcast every month. So it's fantastic. So we're appreciative of all your referrals. And if you have any input for us, we'd appreciate that too. And we'll go provide it for you. It's your chance to have input on next year's schedule.